During the height of World War II, when bombs shattered the surface and soldiers fought across continents, another kind of battle was happening deep underground. Coal miners, the men who powered the war machine, worked in constant darkness beneath collapsing tunnels, poison gases and dwindling air. Their survival depended not on luck, but on a simple, precise system. Media Group, Organised Miner Safety Equipment, WWII Miner Survival Kit, systematic mining tools, stock would distribute equally, lamps that could warn of gas, air pipes that kept oxygen flowing, and ration kits that could sustain life for days when exits were sealed. What began as an industrial necessity ended up shaping post-war survival doctrine. The very tools miners carried underground became the blueprint for Cold War fallout shelters, and eventually the bunkers preppers still build today. The war pushed miners to innovate beyond basic safety. Before World War II, coal mining was already among the most dangerous professions on Earth. Explosions, gas leaks and collapses claimed thousands of lives every year. But when war broke out, the pressure for uninterrupted coal production forced governments to modernize mine safety at an unprecedented pace. Britain, Germany and the United States each invested heavily in developing reliable underground survival kits, not just to save workers, but to preserve the energy supply feeding their armies and factories. The kits became standardized. Every mining station and rescue crew carried what was known as a self-contained survival pack, consisting of oxygen-producing canisters, sealed food, water, lamps, and emergency breathing masks. These were not luxuries. They were systems meant to keep trapped miners alive for 48 to 72 hours. After the war, when military strategists began studying how to protect civilians from atomic fallout, they looked directly to these mining designs as models. The miners had already solved problems that bunkers would later face: limited space, contaminated air, and total isolation. The miner's lamp was the first true gas detector and safe light source underground. The most iconic part of the miner's survival system was the safety lamp. The earliest versions dated back to the 19th century, but World War II brought major refinements. Traditional open flames were deadly because they could ignite methane gas. Engineers replaced them with enclosed flame lamps that doubled as detectors. When oxygen levels dropped or methane increased, the flame changed colour or length, giving a silent warning before suffocation or explosion struck. This principle directly inspired the air monitoring systems used in Cold War bunkers. Fallout shelters adopted similar gas warning mechanisms using chemical indicators or electronic sensors. The concept remained the same. Light wasn't just illumination. It was information about the air you breathed. For modern preppers, that lesson is timeless. Every sealed space, whether a storm shelter, underground hideout, or even a camper van, needs a reliable way to monitor air quality. A small carbon monoxide detector or handheld air sensor performs the same role today as the miner's lamp once did. And just as the miners carried multiple lamps, redundancy remains key. The air pipe and hand pump system became the foundation for bunker ventilation. When mine tunnels collapsed, trapped crews survived because of a simple yet brilliant system: the air pipe. Rescue teams drilled narrow boreholes to deliver oxygen, water and communication lines to the men below. Inside the mine, workers used hand-cranked pumps or bellows to move fresh air through makeshift piping. Those systems became the direct inspiration for post-war bunker ventilation. The British Home Office and American Civil Defence manuals of the 1950s explicitly cited mining ventilation designs when advising citizens how to circulate air in fallout shelters. Even the placement of vents, low intake and high exhaust, came straight from coal mine blueprints. For practical use today, anyone building or modifying a survival shelter can still use those same principles. Fresh air must enter low to displace stale air and prevent build-up of carbon dioxide. A simple manual pump or fan backup is vital when power fails. WWII miners proved that survival underground isn't about advanced machinery. It's about airflow, direction, and discipline. Emergency rations in mines became templates for civilian shelter food stores. When trapped underground, miners had to make every ounce of food count. Wartime rations were compact and nutrient-dense tinned meat, high-calorie biscuits, sugar tablets, and sweetened condensed milk. Each pack was designed to last several days without refrigeration or cooking. Civil defence planners after the Second World War borrowed that model directly. The United States fallout shelter ration, packaged in uniform cans stacked in shelters nationwide, was nearly identical in nutritional design to the miner's survival pack. Its purpose was not comfort, but metabolic efficiency. Enough calories and hydration to keep the human body functioning in sealed confinement. Today's preppers still use the same logic. Freeze-dried meals, high-calorie bars, and nutrient tablets are the modern versions of the miner's tins. The most useful takeaway here is proportion. The miners calculated supplies based on space, not appetite. That's still the best method for planning bunker storage. Prioritize calorie density per cubic inch, not meal variety. The psychological element of underground survival was a wartime revelation. Physical tools kept miners alive, but psychology determined who made it through days of darkness. Reports from wartime Britain describe miners trapped for over 60 hours who survived because they maintained routine and ration discipline. They rotated lamp use, took turns resting, and followed breathing control patterns to stretch oxygen. These behavioral lessons were later codified into Cold War shelter training manuals. One method, called measured breathing, actually originated with miners. Slow inhalations and, longer exhalations to minimize carbon dioxide buildup. Even the use of structured routines, meal times, light rotations, and quiet intervals came directly from mining survival experiences. For modern bunker planning, these insights are often overlooked, but really they're critical. Equipment sustains the body, but order sustains the mind. In confined spaces, anxiety can waste energy faster than hunger. Establishing a simple time schedule, even with no natural light, is as vital now as it was in 1943, beneath a collapsed shaft. The miner's survival kit became, the unseen prototype of the fallout shelter. After the war, nations studying nuclear defense recognized that the conditions underground during a collapse were nearly identical to those inside a sealed bunker after an attack. Limited oxygen, radiation, or gas, contamination, and isolation from rescue for several days. Instead of reinventing survival systems, they just borrowed the miner's blueprint. Ventilation shafts were modelled after mine air pipes. Chemical air regenerators came from the same oxygen canister technology miners used. Compact storage design, psychological routines, and emergency lighting protocols all originated below ground. Even the term refuge chamber, used in modern mining and military bunkers, was actually coined during the Second World War to describe reinforced underground safe rooms near work tunnels. Today, anyone studying bunker design, from professional engineers to backyard survivalists, is unknowingly following a path carved by those early miners. Their discipline under crushing darkness proved that true survival isn't about high-tech systems. It's about simple, functional design that keeps air flowing, food rationed, and morale steady. The Second World War miners' survival kit was born from necessity, refined by war, and perfected in peace. It stands as a reminder that modern survival planning owes its roots to men who fought their battles far from the front lines. Underground, armed with nothing but light, air, and endurance. If you value lessons drawn from real history, the kind that still shapes how we prepare for crisis, subscribe to Backyard Wisdom. Every story here uncovers the forgotten systems that kept humanity alive when the world above was falling apart. Share this with anyone serious about survival and keep those lessons from fading back into the dark.